Good morning, we are back at it today. If you are brand new here, my name is Patrick, this is Life on the Moose, and this is Red Moose Ranch. So I'm building our home on this little piece of heaven. It sits right over there. We just received lumber. Check it out. So let's start framing walls. Before we get into cutting boards and pounding nails, let me show you on the plans what my plan is. I would bet if you asked 3 professional framers how they would approach this house, I bet you'd get at least 2 different ideas. I'll show you mine. While you were away, I finished up all of my headers. So I am good to go for the south side of the house and the east side of the house, which is the front door side, minus the front door. So I still have to do that. But I don't know if we're gonna get to that in this episode. We'll get to it eventually. Okay, let's check out these plans. Okay, here are the house elevations right here. So south elevation. This section right here to here is what I call the primary bump out, the primary bedroom bump out. It's gonna have a covered patio right out the west, the view side over there. And to wrap around this way is the front door, which is this side right here. So height of top plate, 8 feet here and 8 feet here. Well, not exactly. I'll get to that in just a little bit. But we're gonna have another transition under the loft. We're gonna have 9-foot ceilings in this main section of the house. And that loft will sit on top of that 9-foot wall. To show you on the floor plan, this outlines that loft area. This would be the steps to the loft. Front door right here. Primary bump out right here. Actually don't have the far wall, it ran out of paper. 8-foot tall wall here. It will angle up to this wall here. It's going to start off life as a 9-foot wall, and on top of that is that loft. So the very first wall we do will be the south wall of the primary right here. Now, if you've ever watched my videos before, I've disclaimed many times that I'm not a professional framer. I'm not a professional anything, really. Have I framed? Yes, a lot. Have I built a house? Well, yes, several times over, but not all at once. I've done every aspect of building a house, but not all at once, not all by myself. Which brings me to why I'm gonna frame it like I'm gonna frame it. Is it the most efficient way? Probably not. Is it the cheapest way? Probably not. Am I gonna waste lumber? Absolutely. Now, why would I do that since I'm on a budget and I'm pinching pennies whenever I can? It's because it's easier. When it comes to framing, I have to look out not only cost, but I have to look out for what is easy for me since I am by myself for a while. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I do get some help for some of this taller stuff, but it is just me for now and I have to look out for simplicity. As I mentioned, this bump out right here, 8-foot wall right here. By the time you make this angle, this eventually will be 13 feet tall right here. But because we have a loft, I'm basically going to build 2 boxes to make my life easier. I'm going to build a 3-sided 8-foot box right here. And the reason I'm starting here is because it's easy. It's relatively short span. I can lift up this wall by myself. I don't think it's going to be a big issue. I'm going to frame another box underneath the loft at 9 feet. Once I get those 2 boxes finished up, then I'll probably frame the floor of the loft in so I can work, so I can reach higher without ladders, scaffolding, and whatnot. Then once those 2 things are complete, then I'll work on my rake walls and start angling these up to the middle of the house. I shouldn't say the middle of the house, the highest point of the house, but this will be the peak of the house, and it'll sit somewhere around 23 feet tall. So conveniently, the lumber came with what I need on the bottom. So I had to do some digging this morning. I brought materials over there, except for my studs. I don't have my studs over there for the wall I want to do. I have my 2 14-footers laying over there. And you see that pile over there? That is a pile of leftover 2x4s. Yesterday, I went to the woodshed and I robbed almost all the 2x4s I had. Those are left over from the formwork. I'm gonna need those 2x4s for blocking, for bracing. There are a plethora of situations where I'm gonna need some 2x4 scraps. So I brought them all over here to have handy. Other than my order of operations being possibly atypical, this is pretty standard. 2x6 construction, 16 inches on center. Well, let's take advantage of this early morning. It is not even 8 o'clock, and it is calm and quiet, just like me. Karen just threw up a little bit in her mouth, I'm pretty sure. So let's jump right into it. Move these studs over here. Oh, studs. I want to tell you about the studs. Remember I said this is an 8-foot plate over here on the outsides of this house? 8-foot tall top plates? Well, not really. They're 8 feet, 1 inch, and 1/8 tall. Now, why in the world would they be that? Well, it's because the studs that I'm going to use are pre-cut studs. By the time you add that double top plate, your wall will be 1 1/8 inches taller than 8 feet. Why is that? Really, I think the drywall guys are the ones that came up with these pre-cut studs. If you have your top plate 8 feet, that means the drywall you put on the inside of that wall is going to have to be cut, because you got to put drywall on the ceiling first, and that's going to take that space away. And even if you didn't have the drywall on the ceiling, it would be exactly 8 feet, which means your drywall would be sitting on the plywood or on the subfloor, and that's no good. So do take into consideration the gap on the bottom and the 5/8 inch sheetrock on top, on the lid, the ceiling. They made those studs just long enough to allow for those. I'm not really super thrilled about this building being another 1 1/8 taller, but it's not that big of a deal. I won't have to cut them. They'll be ready to go. And when it comes to drywalling the inside of these 2 outside walls, it'll be a lot easier. Okay, the first thing I'm going to do is cut my plates to length. 14 feet exactly. I'm going to put a double top plate on everything, but I'm not going to put the second top plate on yet. I'm going to wait to do that after I get these walls finished up, and then I'll tie everything together. Is my bottom plate. And my top plate is 3 inches smaller than that. Why, you ask? The reason is we're going to have a pocket beam that heads out this way and will hold up the roof that extends and covers the patio outside of those French doors over there. At least I think we're going to do French doors, which, by the way, overwhelmingly 90%, if not higher, said French doors. I love the points that you make. You make some really good points. So because of that beam, this is actually going to be 14 feet minus 3 inches, because, like I said, that beam will sit in a pocket in this south wall. 13 feet, 9 inches it is. New blade on, by the way. Always put a new blade on when you start framing a house. So now I'm going to hold these 2 flush on this end and start working layout. Crowns. I'm going to try to crown everything to the outside of the building. The plates, the studs, everything. A crown is when the board is like this and it has a hump in it. So that hump will be outside. So this will sit here like this. All right, these are the top faces. I'm going to be tilting this up from that direction. So that means I want to flip these this way before I mark them. Okay, layout. 16-inch centers. From the edge, which will be the edge of the building, I'm going to mark 16. Because our studs are 1.5 inches, I'm going to back up 3/4 of an inch. That way, our sheathing on the outside will fall really nicely and have studs to nail on. So I put a little tick 3/4 of an inch back. Then I take my whole tape measure, scooch it this way until the 16 number on my tape is on my new mark. So once that's there, then I can continue laying this out. Now when I mark my 16s, I just have to remember to mark it and put my X on the far side, on the left side for me. just to make them a little bit more obvious. More staples. I took out about 300 of them over the weekend. Okay, and we're gonna put a couple windows in here. 2-foot wide windows. At least the rough opening will be 2 feet wide. So just a little refresher on windows. So if you have a window like this, the studs that are on each side of it, that go all the way top to bottom, king studs. The studs that hold up the header, jack studs. Those are both jacks. The studs that are underneath the window opening, those are called cripples. So here's our first stud. It's going to be 1.5 inches, of course. And I'm going to use this stud as a king stud on one side. Underneath that will be the jack stud. So next to the jack stud is where our rough opening begins. We have a rough opening of 2 feet. Right there. At 1.5 inches for jack, 1.5 inches for king. To keep these windows relatively symmetrical on the wall, I'm going to start with this stud and work my way back versus over there, just because our studs aren't exactly symmetrical. This stud won't go all the way through because of the window, but this will work good as a cripple under the window. And then I'll go ahead, since this is evenly spaced, I'll go ahead and put a cripple on each side as well. Okay, I just counted them up. I need 14 studs. That includes the California corner on this side and a California corner. So you have your stud is on the outside, and then you have another stud that is on the inside of the wall like that. And then this one can be used as a nailer for drywall or whatever you have on the inside. That's a California corner. 2 extra on the other side. That's not going to be a California corner. Double king stud over there. And the very end will be a double jack stud to support that beam that's going to fly out that way and hold the roof up. Is this all crystal clear? It's not even clear to me, so don't worry if you feel like you're falling behind. 14 studs. Let's go get them. Remember that line I drew? My layout line is right here. I'm going to line up that line with this outside corner of my bottom plate so that when I lay it down, it'll be right where it needs to be. So I'm going to temporarily put a few nails along here to keep this straight and keep it on that line for now. Just help keep everything straight, I hope. Don't need a lot, just enough to keep it on layout, keep it on that line. So a few of these studs were really gross, really crooked, really twisted. So I'm going to use those for my cripples. And the cripples are the ones that will hold up the rough opening window sill. So if I want my rough opening, my window, to begin at 30 inches off the floor, these cripples have to be 27 inches because 1.5 inches bottom plate, 1.5 inches for that rough window sill, 27 inches. So let's cut these bad ones into smaller pieces. Usually you can kind of cut the worst part of it out, so to speak. The severity of it just goes away the smaller the board. So if the rough opening is 2 feet wide, our bottom sill, rough opening sill, if you will, that is 2 feet long. Okay, if the bottom of the opening is 30 inches off of the floor, and we have a 4-foot opening, 2 wide, 4 high, that means the top of that opening is 30 inches plus 4 feet. So 6 feet 6 inches minus 1.5 inches for the bottom plate is the height of the jack studs. So I need 4 at 6, 4.5. Does that sound right? Okay, here is my wall all laid out. Now it might be a little bit heavy for me to lift as is, so I'm gonna take at least one of these window headers out. So now when you're nailing all this out, you don't want to get caught in a corner or nail yourself in a corner. So generally start with the window area and make sure I nail everything down and then kind of work my way out. Does that make sense? I knew it did. Here, I don't want to nail this one yet because I want to nail in through here. It really sits funky there. Let's go this way. That's a little better. Not much. May not look like it, but my fingers are far enough away. Check out the difference in thickness of boards. This one is not 5.5, it's 5.25. I measured it. What the heck? What do you do? Yeah, let's wait on these. Okay, now let's go ahead and nail in all the bottom of the windowsills. Do you notice how these two cripples are twisted? It's square down there, not here, as you can see. Check that out. Well, I'm gonna have to straighten that up. Let's go ahead and do the bottom first, so the bottom is flush. Okay, there it is. Same thing with this one. Okay, there's the bottom. Now for the kings. Okay, now I can nail that top header on. Okay, let's tighten up the jacks to the kings. Going through the nails. Come on, Patrick. Look at that. Goodness. Okay, let's get that out of our system. That's why that X is there. Come on, Patrick. Look at that. Gosh. Just like that. Okay, I think we're ready to stand this thing up. I'm sure you know what these are for. And I bet you know what this is for. You ready to stand this wall up? Oh, it's heavy. Okay, let's try it. Okay, that worked. Pretty tight. I'm gonna work on this brace over here. Okay, you can barely see that red line through there. That's what it's supposed to be, right there. So that's good. It looks like we're starting to lose the line a little bit right there. Yeah, that looks good over here now. I think we're good to go. Well, I was just working on this top header when I lost you. My battery died already. Holy cow, I don't know if it's because it's warm or my phone's getting a little bit older or what. Got a head start on this one right here. This one is just over 11 feet. Well, it's going to be a little bit lighter because that was heavy. I'm not sure I could have done 2 feet longer. That was pretty heavy.
Okay, both of these are twisted pretty bad. Get the big boy out. When this doesn't work, go with this one. Ugh. Okay. Okay. You ready to lift this into place? You know how I like talking to you, even though you never respond. One of my older videos, I think it was the spur cabin video, I received a comment lately I thought was pretty funny. Some guy said, "You need a dog to talk to." I don't think he liked that I was just talking to no one, when in actuality I'm not really talking to anybody except a camera, a phone right here. But it's you I'm talking to, you. Come on, you. I don't need a dog. Oh, goodness. All right, I'm going to put my headers in after I get it stood up. I'm going to put that far stud in also, the one that's leaning up. I'm going to put that in later as well, because if it was in right now, I wouldn't have room to nail the header in. It was a little bit breezy earlier. I thought about putting another brace up right here so this wall can brace up against it. Another one besides that one. But it's pretty calm right now. It's not very windy at all. Knock on wood. Okay. I think that's it. Okay, I plumbed my corner. That is good to go. And it is fastened. So that's tied in, not going anywhere. I'm happy about that. I also braced up this corner over here. Let's see if I can show you that. There it is. So let's put these headers in. I left the outside kings loose just to give me some wiggle room to get this thing in there. Okay. I think that's all it's gonna go. And I'm sure that'll be fine. Now I can put that last stud in. one more header. Hey, good morning. We're back at it today. I have good news and bad news. The bad news is I have to make the header for that French door off of the primary bedroom. I have to remake that header. The good news is now I don't have to make one for the front door. That one will work. Might have to cut it down a little bit, but that'll be easy enough. So we have to make that opening. I told you 6-foot opening. I was wrong. I had a miscommunication with my door guy. I told you I thought I was set to go. So 6 feet would be the size of the door. They recommend a rough opening at 74 to 75 inches. So I'm going to do 75 inches. When you have a rough opening that wide, I don't know if you remember that from last episode, but now we need 2 jack studs and we need 2 king studs on each side because it's wider than 6 feet. So 81 inches it is. 81 inches, 3 inches on each side. For trimmers or for jacks, that leaves you 75, which is what we want. So let's quickly go ahead and build this header right now because that's the next wall I want to tackle. I'll do this really fast. You're going to enjoy it. I have a feeling you really will. Okay, my new header is built. Let's build this wall right here. This brace is obviously going to be in the way. I'm going to move this brace to the outside of this wall. Once I get the post mounted or a couple of 2x6s that this beam is going to sit on right here. And then that will flush out the end of the wall. And then I'm going to be able to put this 2x4 brace out here. And that way I have something to lean the wall against. So I think that'll work out. You saw my view is gone. It's been gone for the last day and a half or so. Yeah, the wildfires from Canada. I told Canada to stop smoking. It's not good for you. These are my plates. Now I need 4 jacks at 81 inches.
hot. Holy cow. Check it out, we're almost done framing. Holy cow. At this rate, I'll be completely finished up by 2029, if I'm lucky. And you'll still be here, right? All right, good. I was just making sure you're in it for the long run. Oh, that last board that I just took down across there, the only reason I had that up was so I had something to push against. When I was lifting it, I almost started lifting it and I realized, wait a second, when I get to like here, I'm gonna run out of things to hold on to because of that big open space right there. So that's what that board was for. I'm gonna wrap this episode up. I'm trying to keep these videos under 45 minutes, but it seems like no matter what I do, they're 45 minutes. So hopefully this one will be a little bit less than that. And hopefully you watch it, you enjoy it, and you'll be here next week. Speaking of next week, guess what I'll be doing? I'm gonna connect the front of this room right here, get going on my 9-foot walls, and we'll just keep building. Well, until next week rolls around, you take care of yourself, have some fun, and stay out of trouble. I'll see you soon.